How can you start earning in GameFi projects without your own investments? How do you analyze projects based on which guilds have entered them? And why might you consider including tokens of a guild into your crypto portfolio? In today's video, you will get the answers to all these questions, and moreover, in the end of the video, you will find out how to join a GameFi guild and start earning yourself. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nick, you're watching the Cryptus channel, and the topic of today's video is GameFi guilds. How do they work, what is their earning model, and how do they impact the crypto ecosystem or GameFi ecosystem as a whole. If you don't want to miss out the hottest projects at the very start, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I am really appreciating your support. Thank you. GameFi is one of the newest and most profitable areas in cryptocurrency, where after good quality analytics of a project, everyone can earn anywhere between $10 to even more than $1,000 a day based on the projects you choose, the amount and time you play, and the amounts of basically stablecoins, funds, or other cryptocurrency you invested in this project. The essence of GameFi is that when you play a particular game on the blockchain, you receive a reward in tokens, which you can further exchange for another cryptocurrency and then convert it into real money or stablecoin. In all cases, in order to start playing and earning, you need to buy an NFT in a particular crypto project that will allow you to start earning. For example, in games like Axie Infinity, at the peak, you had to invest more than $600 to enter the game and start earning. Or, for example, more than $1,000 in Steppen, also at the peak, which is for most people an unbearable amount, either by itself or in terms of the risk management for their portfolio in crypto. In order to solve this problem, organizations such as GameFi guilds have emerged. And briefly, this is a community of investors and players in the form of a DAO who together select new games to make money, to analyze projects, come up with new game strategies, educate each other, and earn crypto while playing. Guilds help new players to enter a GameFi project for free, while the guild itself receives a percentage of the players' earnings. And GameFi guilds are not yet as popular around the whole world as in the Asian region, so our goal today is to figure out how do they work, how they affect GameFi projects, and how can you yourself become a part of a GameFi guild. So let's start. There are quite many fairly popular guilds on the market right now, the biggest of which are YGG, Good Games Guild, Merit Circle, Unix Yield, and Ancient 8. We contacted Ancient 8's guild directly, and they were so kind to have a call with us and explain from the inside out how a GameFi guild works, so a huge thank you to Ancient 8 and especially Justin for having this call. What is the main goal of a guild? Could you please specify the main interests as socially for you, so financially for the guild itself?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at Ancient 8, we're focusing on being the infrastructure layer between GameFi products and the community. So the way that we're connecting the two is both through community infrastructure and software infrastructure. So we're doing that on the community side by operating our gaming guild, which is onboarding players into the GameFi ecosystem, as well as doing it from the software side by focusing on software products that will also be used to onboard new people from Web 2 into Web 3. So some of our software products, some examples of those being a GameFi Launchpad, as well as a GameFi identity platform, which will play almost as like a LinkedIn for GameFi players. So it'll be a way for players to track their growth and participation in the space, and a way for GameFi projects to see who the top level players and some of the most seasoned players in the space are. So overall, Ancient 8's overarching goal will be to operate in the space as a decentralized autonomous organization, with the bigger vision being to democratize social and financial access in the metaverse as we all continue to build Web3 together.
So guilds merge the technical side of a GameFi project with a community of players and investors, making it easier for a player to enter cryptocurrency or a particular game. So guilds invest their own funds to buy NFTs and then rent them out to players. And then the players get some earnings, and these are split between the guild and the players, so both of them make money and earn. So how does a gaming guild work? How does the fundraising process, for example, work? How do you acquire new users? And what are the earning mechanics for you?
Yeah, so essentially the way that our gaming guild operates is we basically reduce the barrier to entry between the players of the community that want to play the game, and we bridge those players over into joining the game by actually buying the NFT assets that those players will use in the game, and basically renting those assets to players so that they can enter the game without any financial cost, and then they can play the game, and the guild and the players split the rewards earned through playing the game. And that's basically the way that the model works. So a lot of players want to join a lot of different games, but especially players in Southeast Asia and countries where we mostly operate. They don't have the finances to be able to join multiple games, and sometimes not even the finances to join just one game. So we are connecting those players to games by allowing those players to utilize our assets to play the game. And that way they can build up enough rewards themselves to essentially eventually be able to purchase assets of their own in the game if they'd like to do that. And then we can go ahead and take those assets and give them out to another player seeking that opportunity. We acquire users mostly through social media channels, the most popular being Twitter, Facebook, and even our Discord. So users are usually seeking out guilds in this space. They want to enter games, so they're seeking out a guild that could provide the assets to join that game. So a lot of players will usually come seek us out. We have a form in which they can fill out and share why they would like to play the game, what kind of time they have available to do so, and where they can get all the information in terms of the percentage splits that we offer from our guild. And that's mainly how we acquire new users to join the games that we're working with. Lastly, for the earning mechanics, it's quite straightforward. Each game has their own basically economy and token system in which the player can be rewarded for playing the game. And then the way that we operate is depending on where that reward system, how much that reward system is paying out, we will find a good percentage to split with the players that are utilizing our assets to play the game. And all of that is discussed before the player joins. And once the player agrees, that's basically where we onboard them and bring them into our community to start playing under Ancient 8.
Also, guilds often invest not only their own funds into NFTs, but receive investments or capital from VCs to buy NFTs or advertise the guild. Therefore, the quality of VCs can tell us how successful a guild could potentially be, which is defined by choosing the best P2E projects to enter as a guild, good asset management between multiple projects, or direct contact with various founders, so you can give your own proposals to the tokenomics or earning mechanics in the game, so it will be more long-living. As a member of a good GameFi guild, you have a high probability that the project you're playing is selected with high quality, and you will not waste your time playing it for lower returns or their absence. On the other hand, as a retail investor, not even being part of any guild, you can use a guild with good backers and good investment history and asset management to see if it has entered the Play2Earn project you want to join or you're thinking about joining. Using it, the guild, as an indicator that it will not dump in like a week after the release of the project. Good backers and guilds don't guarantee it, but at least the probability of not dumping the token or the NFTs in the projects is much less likely, or higher if we are talking about not dumping it. As an example, based on Ancient 8, it has strong backers and VCs like, for example, Dragonfly Capital, Pantera Capital, Coinbase Ventures, Hashed, Alameda Research, Animoca Brands, and many other quite popular VCs. And as an alternative example of another top-tier guild, the YGG, their investors are, for example, Anderson Horowitz, one of the top 3 basically funds or VCs in crypto, Infinity Ventures, and Kingsway Capital. Sounds interesting? So now let's look at how to become a part of a GameFi guild yourself, and then how to select different projects for your own investments, so not being part of the guild, but based on which guilds are basically backing it. What are the benefits for participating in a guild, and what do you need as an end user to become a part of the guild?
So some of the benefits of participating in GameFi through a gaming guild such as Ancient 8, really first and foremost is having very highly qualified players that are almost coaching new players once they are onboarded into our ecosystem. We have basically regular trainings from professional level players that have been playing a lot of these games for a longer period of time. So they will train new players, and they're basically, we hold their hand and walk them through getting started into the GameFi space. There's a lot of kind of moving parts when joining a GameFi project, such as downloading wallets and swapping tokens, things of that nature, in order to get started. So we walk our players through that process first and foremost, and then secondly, when we provide assets to our players, we do our best to provide the higher quality assets that we can, to give our players the best opportunity to maximize the rewards that they can earn while playing the game. So a lot of the time when people are joining GameFi projects on their own, they have a maximum budget that they can work with, and they need to try to, learn everything on their own or through, searching in community, which can be quite difficult and confusing sometimes. So we try to make the process as simple as possible for a user from start to finish. In terms of what do they need to get started, basically we do look for players that have some form of gaming experience. Is of course always preferred, but not mandatory. So we do look for players that have some gaming experience, as well as some preferably crypto or NFT experience. Those two things are also a plus. But again, these are pluses and not really mandatory. We allow for each player that desires to play the game to send in an application, let us know what their background is, and we also let them know going into it that they don't need to necessarily have a background, but just share with us, where they are in the process and where they want to go. And then we basically siphon through those applications and try to choose as many of the best qualified fits as we can find.
So the advantage of being part of a guild is the experience of other users in the guild, the scholarship in different GameFi projects and in crypto as a whole, as well as the access to high-level NFTs in games for greater earnings for you and for the guild. But this is only on the surface, because this is basically what every guild can give you. Furthermore, guild members can sometimes invest their own funds into some in-game assets at better prices, basically at pre-sale prices, because GameFi guilds usually get the opportunity to be the first one to buy NFTs at the launch. And being a guild member, you might have the chance to get into the best projects, their NFTs, at the very start. To become a part of the guild, you must go through a selection process by the guild itself. It's different from guild to guild in every guild, and basically you must prove that you will be valuable and useful to the community of the guild. For example, in some guilds you need to buy a certain amount of guild tokens and sometimes invest your own funds in NFTs into a shared pool, or for example you must show that you will be an active member of the community, that you're experienced, and then you can help to train newcomers in the guild. So it's not always just about the money, but about education and help in the community. And again, it's a unique process from guild to guild. The application forms or contests to entering a guild can be found either on their website, or you can, for example, just contact the admins or the mods of the guilds on their Discord server, and they will help you out with the application. And here you need to understand that this is not an automated process like anyone who wants can just join the guild. No, it's more of an individual one, depending on your skills and time you're prepared and willing to spend for the guild. How do you handle the onboarding process of new users to crypto? Do you provide some sort of education or equipment?
When it comes to onboarding players, education is a huge part of what we do here at Ancient 8, and there's multiple ways in which we do that. First and foremost, when players are working directly through our guild, there is an education process where members of our community will be walked through by team members, and we will make sure that they completely understand some of the best ways to stay safe in this space, as well as operating new parts of things that they've never used before in terms of wallets and other portions of swapping tokens and things of that nature. So we do have that process, which is very hands-on with players that are working directly with us, but also we have a goal and a vision of educating players that may not actually even be working directly through our guild, but maybe are following us on social channels or other places online. And the way that we educate those people is through our Ancient 8 research portal, which is actively always sharing a lot of the same information in terms of security and ways to play it safe as possible while navigating through the crypto space and the GameFi space, as well as creating content on YouTube and other platforms to just be continuously always sharing how users can come into the space from Web 2 into Web 3 and get integrated and have a kind of a one-stop shop where they can learn all those things over a long period of time. Because as we know with crypto, it's a lot of information all at once. And that's why we want to be a hub for people entering the space to be able to get all their knowledge right here from Ancient 8.
Also worth mentioning is that many guilds run their business not only online but also in the real world. For example, guilds create entire offline schools for education of people on GameFi projects in crypto and provide them with equipment for playing games inside the guild. This is something that is more spread out in the Asian region as of right now, but currently we don't see this so much like in Asia all around the world, but maybe this is a subject that might change in the future. So how do you lend out assets to users you don't know, and how do you protect yourself against users, for example, stealing these assets? And how do you control the user's income so it basically gets split between them honestly?
Lending out assets in games is actually quite simple because of blockchain technology and because of the wallet technology. It actually makes it very simple for us to lend out our assets. So without going too in depth with the technical side, basically the user interface allows us to create a username and a password in which we're able to give that over to our players to log in. But in terms of the movement of assets, players will not be able to move assets out of an account without having access to the actual account's wallet that is connected to that account. So we maintain control of the wallet, which allows us to keep the assets safe. And then the only thing that is transferred to the player is the login credentials, which allow them to log in and use the NFT assets that are connected to that platform. In terms of splits for the rewards that are earned through the game, luckily that process has also been streamlined in a very extremely honest way because of the blockchain. Everything that the player does is recorded on chain, so the player is able to know exactly the amount of rewards that were earned, as well as the guild is also able to see that information as well. And then whatever was contracted between the player and the guild is expedited on the blockchain so that everybody can clearly see that everything was done fairly.
The guild itself usually works in the format of a DAO, so decentralized autonomous organization, where decisions are made by voting with the governance token of the guild. Also, since all assets of the guild are stored on the blockchain, not backed by anything physical, the entire process of asset regulation, so that, for example, NFTs will not be stolen and that the player really receives their payment, is controlled by a smart contract because it's all easy to control online on the blockchain. The most guilds consist of several main areas, or for example, let's call them pillars. For example, it consists of partners or backers who help the guild to cooperate with new GameFi projects and build a mutually beneficial community or relationship between the GameFi project and the guild. These are, for example, the VCs or the backers of the guild. It consists of investors. Don't mix them up with VCs. These are just investors who invest their money when the guild is already running. So they have the opportunity to invest their funds together with the guild into NFTs and tokens at a very, very low price. Of course, a guild also consists of the treasury and the assets of the guild, which is constantly being monitored and moved between project to get the most returns and basically to use it more capital efficiently. And it consists definitely of a community which is using the assets in game. Lots of GameFi projects are really, really high risks. So how do you protect yourself against possible decrease in value of in-game assets or tokens when entering a project?
Well, we actually don't look at GameFi investments actually as being that much of high-risk investments, because the projects and the games that we're looking to collaborate and work with, we're looking for a long-term partnership and we're looking for long-term building. So I think for short-term traders, GameFi investments can be very high risk, very high reward options. But for people that are building in the space long term, we know that there is a longer time horizon in order to be profitable working and collaborating with a GameFi project. So for that reason, we don't really see it as being high risk. Now, with that being said, of course, there's no such thing as an investment that offers no risk at all. And for that portion of it, we do understand that there are going to be some risks when it comes to partnering and working with projects in this space. And for that part, of course, we have our processes of doing the most possible due diligence that we can on the teams that we're choosing to collaborate with. And then, of course, trusting in those teams and working closely with those teams to help build a profitable venture for both parties.
So guilds typically tend to choose projects that will not be as volatile from the price. For example, where the price of this NFT doesn't grow like 10 times in a week or in a month while it's hyping, and then falls even further, like 10 or 20 times below. Also, guilds tend to frequently be in touch with the game developers, which allows them to contribute their suggestions to the game earning mechanics overall. And this is another reason why you should keep an eye on the top tier guilds and backers of projects when analyzing them for your own investments, because they work for the community and for the long livingness of a project. So they don't want to pump and dump the project, they just want to rent out their NFTs and get basically a stable earning from other players playing. Do you have any statistics on how many people you or other guilds have maybe educated? So what is the possible size or market potential?
Well, though I can't really speak to the impact of other gaming guilds, what I can say is here at Ancient 8, we have already onboarded over 2,400 community members through our scholarship program, as well as managing 13 sub-guilds, all while working with about 20 different gaming platforms. So there's definitely been a nice chunk of users that have been able to enter the space through our guild program and through our research portal. I'm sure that we've reached hundreds, if not thousands, more users and community members through our social education channels, how we are continuously educating the space through YouTube, Twitter, and all of the other social channels. I would like to believe we've reached tens of thousands of people over the past couple months, and our goal is to onboard millions of users into this space over the long term.
What key benefits does a guild provide to a project it partners with, and how do you select your projects for entry?
Yeah, so we basically prioritize community building whenever we're partnering with a potential project. Our goal is to strengthen the community of that project, because that is so important in Web3 and oftentimes the hardest part about developing a project. Don't get me wrong, building out game mechanics, tokenomics, those things are all very difficult, but sometimes even when those things are built at a high level, if the community is not there and the community is not strong, sometimes it's still very hard for projects to gain ground and kind of gain momentum in the space. So what we like to do is prioritize communities by creating community engagement campaigns, working with the projects that we partner with to create strong marketing campaigns, collaboration campaigns, as well as also, again, as I spoke in the previous question, education being a really, really big and important part of it. So what we do is we bring the players on board into the projects that we're working with, and we educate them how to be a high-level player in our partner's GameFi project. I would say our selection process is probably very similar to most strategic investing processes in terms of doing our due diligence to try to choose really good teams that are focused on long-term building, teams that have experience as well as are building out quality roadmaps, tokenomics, and high-level quality games that can be sustainable for the future of the space.
So for the GameFi projects themselves, guilds as backers are a big bonus since they offer a project a strong and educated community, which right now is the most crucial and important aspect of the growth and sustainability of a GameFi project. The community is even more important right now than VCs and good backers, if we're talking not about pump and dump scheme, but about the long-livingness and long-term perspective of a project. How much does actually your work depend on the market situation? So many GameFi projects suffer because of the dipping market, for example. What do you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, our work doesn't depend on market conditions because we are more than just a guild here at Ancient 8. So our priority is not only onboarding players, but also educating the entire industry. So even in down market conditions, we still have a research team that is continuously covering the current market conditions. We are still onboarding and working with the gaming platforms that we are partnered with because the down market conditions will not always be in that situation. So we are building and preparing for another cycle, another bull cycle at some point. And that's why our company is operating as a full decentralized autonomous organization with a guild infrastructure within that organization. So we are not solely dependent on what's happening in the market. We're building a full-scale company that is going to be operating and bringing value to this market and to this industry in many different ways.
Also, most guilds tend to have their own tokens. Ancient 8, for example, they don't have their own token right now, publicly traded, and they're also not disclosing all of its use cases yet. They want to keep it as a surprise. But if you don't want to miss out its launch, you can make sure to follow Ancient 8 on Twitter and Discord to be sure you don't miss it when the token is launching. So what could be the reasons for holding or buying a guild token? Well, it can vary from guild to guild, but here are some features which other guilds currently on the market are offering to the token holders right now, some of the bonuses. First of all, a part of the guild's income is proportionally distributed among all the holders. This is a kind of passive income you can get from guilds for buying or holding their token. Secondly, some of the guilds provide the possibility to invest in NFTs at an early stage together with them, with your own capital, just for holding again the token of the guild. And third, they can offer an increased percentage of income for holding their token just by playing the game. So for example, if you're a guild member, you hold their tokens and you're, for example, earning or getting a cut of 30% for the income you've earned from playing. Maybe it could be rising up to 35% or to 40%. And fourth, for example, sometimes you can get the entry to the beta test of certain GameFi projects and be the first one in, for example, already upgrade or level up your character in the game or already collect some tokens. So these are all things that guilds can offer, but not every single guild offers these bonuses for holding their tokens. There are many advantages, but before buying a token, I strongly recommend choosing the right guild whose bonuses and perks will be the most relevant for you. And I will leave the links to all the guilds we were just talking about in this video in the description below this video. How do you feel the guild may look in 2 to 3 years from now? So what will be the standards for a top tier guild and how much room will there be for growth given a vast development of new Play2Earn and Do X to Earn projects?
We think that there's a whole lot of growth left for the GameFi space. Actually, GameFi itself as an application layer is one of the fastest growing in the entire blockchain infrastructure. So we think that as more big game publishers enter the space and even more smaller publishers enter the space, that it's just going to continue to rapidly grow and create a lot of new opportunity for new guilds and even new software developers and builders in general to continue entering the space and still see a lot of opportunity. I think a lot of people saw the boom of the previous year and think that we may have already hit the ceiling, but we believe that that is only the beginning of what we're going to see over the next coming 2 to 3 years.
Well, and that's all I wanted to share with you in today's video. Today's video taught us how guilds work, how to use them for project analytics, and how to become a part of the guild by sending them a direct membership application either on the website or in Discord, and so on. I hope today's video was helpful and informative to you and that you liked it. And I hope to see you in the next videos. Have a fantastic day, and bye bye.